Welcome class sa lesson natin sa robotics. So today we will talk about the codes that we have used for the past few weeks, and then at the same time discuss the codes that we will use for today's circuits. So the first code, we have the void setup and the void loop. Void setup is used for preparation. Ginagamit natin siya in the past to declare the mode of digital pins na ginamit natin or gagamitin natin sa isang circuit, whether it could be an input or an output. Then, if you will attach some electronic components sa Arduino mo, need mo din i-declare sa void setup. One example is if you will attach a motor to your circuit. Then, to set it up, make sure that you will declare your codes, your setup here. Void loop naman is used for the execution. After setting up the pins you will use or the components that you will have in the circuit, then dapat alam ng Arduino ang gagawin niya dito. Sa void loop natin, ilalagay ang mga conditions and other things that your Arduino will execute. After the structure, which are the void setup and void loop, then you have the constants. The first constant that we have used is the high and low constants. Constants or constant in a sense that the Arduino will automatically know their value once you use it in a code. So yung value sa high is 1, which could also mean on or 5 volts. Sa low naman, the value is 0, which also means off and 0 volts. Another constant na ginagamit natin or ginamit natin in the past is input and output constant. Ginamit natin to with pin mode function. So to define, or it is used to define if the pin will either be an input or an output. Input in a sense na yung connected component sa kanya ay magsesend ng signal papunta sa Arduino. Then output naman kasi it will execute a signal coming from the Arduino. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, we use input and output functions in partnership with pin mode function. So it is not enough na dineclare mo lang na input or output. Dapat alam din ng Arduino kung ano yung pin number na gagawin niyang input or output. Lalong-lalo na kung mas maraming electronic components yung ikakabit mo sa circuit mo. So this is the reason why we are using input-output constants together with your pin mode function. So the structure for your pin mode function, so you will need to type this one, pin mode, and then open parenthesis. You can write here the pin number or the variable name for the pin that you have set, and the mode could either be an input or an output. Next naman is digital write function. So this is used to send output signals from the Arduino to an electronic component. Yung structure niya is written like this: digital write, open close parenthesis, pin, comma, value. You can use constants here dito sa pin mismo, which is 0 to 13. Automatically, alam na ni Arduino that you are referring to digital pins 0 to 13 pag number ang nilagay mo dito sa pin mismo, okay? And kaya naman pwede namang variable name yung ilagay mo, just like here. So digital write followed by a variable name, but you just need to make sure na dineclare mo yung variable which is equals to 1 of the digital pin that you have in your Arduino, like the code in here. We also use delay. It pauses your program for an amount of time specified as milliseconds. So take note, the value for the delay or the unit for the delay is milliseconds. So 1000 milliseconds is equals to 1 second. Then we use variable. So variable is a way of naming and sorting a numerical value for later use by the program. You need to make sure that you are writing variable or you are typing your variables above the void setup. So, dun siya sa pinakataas. And ito yung variables mo. If these are your variables, void setup should follow after your variables. So, int, one type of variable is int. Int stands for integer. Kapag magbibigay ka ng number or value sa isang variable, then you can use int. And then, this one is a variable name, LED, variable name. So, this can be interchanged. Hindi yan constant. You can try to declare your own variable name. And this one pertains to the value of that variable. So kung kanina we have digital write, this time we have digital read. Take note of the structure once you are using digital read function. So digital read, you write it or type it as digital read, open close parenthesis, and the pin number. So this one could be a number or this could be a variable. So kung kanina yung digital write, it sends output signals, it make your Arduino send output to an electronic component. This time naman, digital read will be used to somehow specify na yung digital pin na yun ay mag-give ng value, an input from an electronic component going to your Arduino. But take note, the value could only be high or low. There. Next naman is comparison operators. So, dito sa example na to, the comparison operator is this one. So, comparison operator in a sense that it is comparing this value to this value. So, if you read it this way, if the value is equals to 1, then the Arduino will do this. There are types of comparison operators and we will discuss it on the next slide. So the first comparison operator na ginamit natin is this one, x is equal or x equals sign y, which means x is equal to y. Next naman, another type of comparison operator is this one, x exclamation point equals sign y, which means x is not equal to y. This one, medyo sanay tayo dito nung tayo nasa grade school. So x, this one, x means x is less than y, and this one means x is greater than y. Ito, nakita na rin natin nung tayo nasa grade school. X is less than y, less than or equal to y, and this one means x is greater than or equal to y. Most of the time, ginagamit natin yung comparison operator in partnership with if function or if statement. So if is used whether or to check or to test whether a certain condition has been reached. So this is technically the condition for your if statement. Take note for the structure for an if statement. So you will need to type if and then your condition should be inside a parenthesis. So open close parenthesis. And this could be your comparison operator. So the signs here could either be an equal sign, another equal sign, or kaya naman exclamation point, equal sign. So the comparison operators na sinabi ko sa kanya, kapag na-meet yung condition na ito, then your Arduino will do this one. Of course, this is just a sample. Pwedeng you can turn on the LED or other things. Kanina, previously, we have just discussed if. This time, we have if-else statement. So, if-else allows for either or decision. Same thing, you can have conditions here, set conditions here. So, the first condition is this one. And if this is met, then you can have the Arduino do this. Then, since you have an else statement, gagawin niya, if this condition is not met, then else statement or this thing will be executed. Okay, so yung mga naunang slides, pinresent natin yung mga codes na ginamit natin in the past. So yung mga susunod naman, ito yung gagamitin natin sa dalawang circuits na gagawin nyo for this week. So first one is logical operators. So logical operator is a way to compare two expressions and return a true or false depending on the operator. Somehow we can say that a logical operator just have two comparison operators. So this one is a comparison operator and this one is also a comparison operator. And you have three types of logical operators. You have your logical AND, your logical OR, and logical NOT. So if you have a logical operator AND, then you have two conditions that must be met. This one should be met and this one should be met for the Arduino to do the next line or to execute the code on the next line. Next naman, logical OR can do this. If this condition is met and this is not met or vice versa, then it's still gonna execute the code in here. Logical NOT in a sense that if this is not met, then it will execute the code in here. Medyo kabaliktaran nung logical AND. So again, somehow your logical operator contains two comparison operators. Arithmetic naman or arithmetic operators includes addition, subtraction, multiplication, and divisions. Madalas, ginagamit lang to sa pagko-code para i-maneuver or i-manipulate yung variables na sinet mo dun sa ibabaw ng setup mo. So you have set values there, tapos gusto mo magbago yung values na yon as the code progresses. So lalagyan mo ng arithmetic operators. So this is how you code for addition. So the value plus or equals the value plus 3. You are trying to add 3 to the variable that you have set. Same thing naman sa subtraction. So you'll have the minus sign and then it will look like this. In multiplication, you will need to have an asterisk sign. And for division, you'll have a slash. AnalogWrite is the last code for today's circuit. So in this definition, it says here that it writes a pseudo-analog value using hardware-enabled pulse width modulation. Para mas maintindihan natin yung definition ng analogWrite or description ng analogWrite, let's go back with digital signals and analog signals. Kapag sinabi nating digital, ang value niya lagi ay 0 and 1. Ibig sabihin, it will just turn on or turn off. Kapag naman analog, ibig sabihin, it can have a range of value. For example, it can have a value of 0 to 255. Meaning, kaya mo makontrol yung resistance na binibigay nung circuit mo dun sa isang electronic component. So, ang effect niya is not just turn on and turn off, but somehow it will have levels. Best example is yung volume ng television natin. So, kapag pinindot natin yung button for the volume, it will have a range of values. Unti-unti tataas or kaya naman unti-unti bababa. Hindi lang turn on or turn off. But take note, analogWrite, sabi dyan, pseudo-analog. Pseudo-analog in a sense kasi that analogWrite, although nakalagay dyan analogWrite, it will still use a digital pin. So kung ganito yung structure ng analogWrite, you will not put here A0 to A5. Mali kapag yan ang nilagay mo. You will write here 1 or 0 to 13, which represents the digital pins that your Arduino Uno have. Take note, digital pins ang gagamitin natin. Kasi, hindi naman talaga analog signals yung ibibigay ng iyong pin kapag gumagamit ka ng analogWrite. Ginagawa niya, pulse width modulation. So, technically, turn on, kung ito yung Arduino mo, ito yung line, at ito yung pag-turn off niya, tapos, magta-turn on siya, magbibigay siya ng 5 volt. But since you have a pulse width modulation, hindi lang siya automatic na naka-ganyan. Hindi lang siya straight na nasa 5 volt. At some point, magkakaroon siya ng pag-drop to 0 volt. It will turn off. Tapos, after some time, it will turn on. Dahil sa ganyan, paulit-ulit na ganyan, makokontrol mo yung value na ibibigay ng iyong Arduino. Para mas maintindihan pa natin, proceed tayo sa next slide. Ayan. So, ito yung next slide discusses PWM. So, this is not technically a code. This is a technique used by your Arduino. So, once you use this, your Arduino can get an analog result using digital means. Digital means kasi 0 and 5 volt yung binibigay ng iyong Arduino. Ang babaguhin niya lang is this one, pulse width, pulse width, pulse width, pulse width, pulse width. Tapos M stands for modulation. So kaya niyang baguhin yung pulse width. Pag pinahaba niya, then you'll have a higher value. Kapag naman pinaikli niya, then you'll have a lower value. Nagagawa niya yan or pag ginawa niya to, then it can give you range of values. So yun, that's the end of my discussion. Thank you.